there are so many different systems like that, and more are coming. And as the energy code continues to push higher, there's only going to be more high tech and kind of automated solutions to address, efficiency and comfort and air quality and all these different things that are that the homeowners really should be. I mean, these are systems that should last almost the life of the home, right? I mean, these are things
Yeah.
that are designed to last 30, 40, 50 years. But we want to talk to them. We want the data coming off of that device to know that it's properly functioning.
Hey, friends, welcome back to the Your Project Shepherd podcast. I'm your host, Curtis Lawson. And you know that I always love to do episodes about new products, new building technology. And so I'm really excited about today's guest and today's topic. And I want to be clear, this is not a paid sponsorship deal, although if they want to send me a check, they're welcome to do that. I just thought this is a super cool product. And it really fits into the discussion that we've been having lately about health and wellness and how your home can help you and work with you. And just being aware of what's happening in your home with all these complex systems that we have. You know, we've talked a lot in the past on episodes about, and in fact, one of our past guests had kind of a similar slogan about having a check engine light for your home and having kind of a dashboard for your home. So this really fits into that whole discussion. So with all that being said, I am super happy today to welcome to the show Brian McCarthy with RIoT Technologies. Brian, thanks for being here.
Curtis, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and great opportunity. And thanks for being curious about what we're doing.
Yeah, so we first spoke last fall at the EEBA conference in Salt Lake City. And for people who are listening or watching that don't know, EEBA is the Energy and Environmental Building Alliance. It's a great association that we've been involved with for a couple of years now, and they do an annual conference. So last fall in Salt Lake City, Utah, RIoT was exhibiting there, and I walked past the booth and I saw this and talked to Brian's team there at the booth, and I was like, man, this is a great product. I've got to learn more about this. So I'm really happy to have Brian on. And actually, at EBA, you guys won an award there, right?
We did, yeah. We won one of the annual EBA awards for resilience. So we'll talk about some of the different benefits of our system, but yeah, resilience is becoming a more and more important topic in home building and construction lately. But and yes, we were very honored to receive an award, so that was great.
Absolutely, and resilience is something that we've talked a lot on this show about as well. It's a very important, and also another award that I was just kind of prepping for this show and cruising online. I saw that you guys also won a Company of the Year for Intelligent Homes from Construction Tech Review, which I thought was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome and kind of unexpected as well, but that was really great. And we are definitely still pioneering, and so it's great to get some early validation along the way to see that people are really starting to recognize what it is that we're working on and the gap that we're trying to address in the market.
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more of those awards to come in the future too. So
Fingers
excited to
crossed.
excited to watch you guys grow. So all right, so let's talk about what RIoT is. And actually, first of all, I think for those listening and watching, because we'll have this on the screen, but our IoT is kind of a play on words, right? So IoT is Internet of Things,
Correct. Yeah.
and for those people who aren't tech savvy among us, tell us what the Internet of Things is.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's RIoT Technology is the residential IoT, right? Residential Internet of Things. And it really, to your point, we've seen that technology in the homes, right? In we'll call it prop tech and in the built world hasn't kept up in the same way that it has in automotive or in retail and other sectors. And IoT as a space is basically this series of networked and connected devices that talk to one another and can communicate updates and information and sensor data, et cetera, back, and then push the information up to the cloud. And it's this creating this series of cloud connected devices that help to give us, intelligence and performance data and analytics about what's going on in the world. And we, in our belief, this type of system is existing in really, I mean, there's a lot of commercial and industrial places where a similar type of system has existed. Or yeah, the best example really might be, a car, right? And if you look at a new Tesla today, that car might have 250 sensors and cameras and components that are all cloud connected, and they're all talking to one another, and they know what each other is doing. And if there's a problem with the car or a failure, then there's a gateway to where there's a remote bridge where people can remote in from the outside. And, if your car broke down, Curtis could call tech support, so to speak, and they can remote into the device and pull all the information and say, okay, it looks like we know what's happening. We know where the failure is. We know where the issue is. We know where the problem is. And it really, kind of dawned on us that no such system existed for new construction in the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where the OEM or the manufacturer who put it all together gets to have insights into the data, right? So most smart home devices really in the world today are really designed for retrofit, and I applaud that. It's great because the retrofit market is 100 times larger than the new construction market. So, but if you look at a Nest thermostat or a Ring doorbell, you can buy a house that's 30 years old and retrofit these devices into that house, which is great. But we started with the question of like, well, what if we design the technology into the home, right? Then what kind of features and benefits and capabilities could we unlock if it was designed to be integrated into the home? So,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, that's what RIoT is. It's this cloud. It's a system of cloud-connected devices, sensors, and components that are designed to be built into new construction. They're prepared, they're pre-configured, and that makes a huge difference to builders because the plumbers know how to install a plumbing valve, but they don't typically carry a laptop in their van, and they don't know how to commission devices and connect them to TCP/IP networks and subnet masks and do all the IT lift. So
Right.
we were saying, how can we simplify this process to make a product that's really easy for builders to digest into their ecosystem?
Yeah. And how do you take all these individual disconnected systems and bring them together, right? So it's all these devices that we have all over our homes that we either have to hardwire them or we set them up with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or whatever. And every device has its own app and its own hub and its own login. And I mean,
Exactly.
I know that I hate installing another app on my phone. I mean, I've already got like 5,000 apps on my phone, and every time I have to install a new one, I'm like, ugh. And
Exactly.
I probably have 10 apps on my phone right now for my house,
That's
and
right. And
half the time, like one of them is logged out, and I can't remember the password. So,
right. And
I
I
love the.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think you're a power user in that regard to have 10, but at the International Builder Show, I got to speak there last month, and I think half the room had more than 5 apps on their phone that were, connected to different devices or components within the home. And really in those siloed situations where you're not able to do what we'll call kind of these multivariable calculations, right? To be like, if X changes, what happens to Y, right?
Hmm.
And you're exactly right. We're trying to bring that all under one umbrella.
Yeah, and just not having to again remember like which password goes for what, and now I'm automatically logged out of this one, and sometimes there's crossover. Even like I have like two or three apps that can control the same thing, and maybe one of them bumps out another one, and it gets confusing for the average user, and it gets kind of cumbersome too. So having
Right.
everything kind of under one umbrella, it's kind of like the Lord of the Rings. It's like a one ring to rule them all. It's like one dashboard to rule them all here with the with this dashboard. So um, so just backing up a little bit, like where, so you kind of mentioned, uh, kind of uh, where the idea came from. Like, what's your personal history? Like, how did you get into this space, and what made you identify this?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So my background is home building. I'm a home builder by trade. Um, I started building new homes in 2001, and yeah, so I'm 24 years in the business and worked for some production home builders. One here in town before we started our own company. We started Abrazo in 2010, but over the course of my career, I've built, I don't know, approaching 5,000 homes, and you get to see a lot of different um, issues, failures, opportunities, the good, the bad, and the ugly when you build at high volume levels, right? You get to see what's working and what's not. And over the course of time, I will say not just for ourselves, but for all builders, right? Warranty is a big concern. And again, we started building smart homes probably around 2012. I think we're 13 years into building smart homes, but we started putting these devices and components in, and we were buying pieces off the shelf and configuring the systems ourselves. But um, there were some concerns and some hiccups and speed bumps along the way, as is to be expected with any new technology. But we'd set up these homes and get them all connected, and we had to it prompted the builder to create a post-closing appointment. We had to go back in once the internet was turned on. And beyond that, if the homeowners were experiencing any technical issues, if they're saying, hey, well, I can't get my door lock to unlock or anything else, we were completely blind to all the data and the insights. And we don't get an account. We would set up the accounts and the login information for the users, the same way that, and that's kind of to be expected, but our homeowners don't give us a key to their house after they after they move
Yeah.
in. But yeah, and it just, as time went on, I mean, the homeowners love it in terms of the convenience and the safety and the other pieces that it provides for the homeowners. They love the tech, but a lot of builders, I really feel, just have not adopted more technology in the home because it's cumbersome and it's not providing sufficient benefit to the builder post closing. They're
Right.
they're blind to all data and analytics, and it also you kind of have to create this post closing appointment with the homeowner. And we were saying, how could we address some of these concerns and make benefit for the builder, make benefit for the homeowner, and streamline the process to make sure trades can easily install it.
Yeah.
And
And
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and as a builder, installing these things, um, you know, installing things that are intended to be installed up front as new construction, um, you know, you can control the placement on where they go. You can control like positioning something in the optimal place to get good readings versus being kind of hamstrung by, with this retrofit solution, we have to put it here, right? So now we can select the best place, or you guys, when you're providing the sensors and this system, you guys can tell us what the best place is so that we're getting good data and not, hey, this thing's stuck in a hallway somewhere because it's kind of the only place we can put it retrofit, right?
Correct. And that's a great point. And if you think about what we can do in the new construction process, I'll give you just one example of a feature that we have built in. But when you build a new house, you have this building envelope and you bring in a water supply line. And in most cases, that supply line enters the house, and we'll call it a daisy chain, right? It completes it's one main supply that has typically a shutoff. But if you're going to shut off the water, you're shutting off everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we do is we bring this main supply in, and then we install a T. And from that T, we actually separate out your exterior components. So your hose bibs, your landscaping valves, any pool equipment, anything to that effect. And we have an online weather feed. So if it's going to drop below 32 degrees tonight in Denver, Colorado, or somewhere, we can shut off just the exterior components and basically have an automated winterization schedule. And so it protects that those pipes from big time freezing or leaks, right, on the exterior, but you still get to keep the interior domestic supply running, so you can have your showers and sinks working. And that's something that really is very low cost to install when it's in a new construction environment. right? We have to put a, a plastic T in the line of PEX to separate these lines out. And it's a couple of dollars for the plastic T, and then we have our connected valve to shut it off. That's really simple in a new construction environment, but it's very difficult to do in a retrofit environment.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at, some of the damage caused by frozen pipes, it's a huge concern, right? So
Yeah, we had that situation here in Houston a couple of years ago when we got this very random freeze that we never get here, and half of the city or half of the whole region had broken pipes, and thousands of insurance claims related to that.
right.
So that could have been prevented if with this type of technology.
Correct. And just to add on to that and to talk a little bit about the EEBA award for resilience, we're tracking more than just, on-off positions of valve, right? We can track the outside weather temperature. We can track your desired temperature set point of your thermostat to see where you want to be. We can see your actual temperatures based on what's being recorded in the room. And then we have a CT sensor that's monitoring power consumption. So, to use your Texas example, I mean, that's really, I think that is the ultimate example of resilience that we can offer people is what happened in Texas and that snowmageddon of Valentine's Day, right? It was not
Mm-hmm.
snowmageddon, but it was the first thing that happened is the power went out, right? And the power went
Right.
out because the grid was overwhelmed. And so the power outage was really the first indicator that there first flare, so to speak, to say there could be risk approaching here, right? And we can identify a power outage by seeing a CT sensor go flat by saying there's no power in the house, right? Or um, but if when the power went out, the heat went out. If the heat goes out, then obviously your set points go down in the house and everything else. And obviously we could be losing connectivity and internet and some other issues here, but we can still write up the valves that we have now have battery backup, and if they're not communicating, we can shut them off and
Mm.
and and shut off the pipes until we know that the system is back within the threshold where it should be. And when the pipes burst in Texas, that's really where the heavy cost of damage was incurred. Um, Power comes back on in 3, 4, 5 days, whatever it might be, but yeah, it was the broken pipes that caused billions of dollars of damage in Texas, not just the lack of power.
Absolutely. So, what all other things outside of a water shutoff valve and can this can RIoT monitor? What types of built-in features do you guys have?
Sure. So yeah, great question. We do have a CT sensor, so we're tracking total power consumption, and we have our own smart water meter, so it's tracking total water consumption. That water meter is very important because that serves as our mechanism for leak detection.
Mm.
Um, if anyone's ever had a leak in their home and you bring over the leak detection guys, what they do is they pressurize your system and they put a little wheel on it to make sure it's holding pressure. And in a perfect plumbing system, at least once a day, your water meter should come to a complete stop. You should go to 0.00 gallons, right,
Yep.
of consumption because it's a completely sealed system. But if your water meter keeps running and keeps clocking, even if it's slow, but it never comes to a complete stop, we know that there's a leak in the
Yep.
home. So we use the water meter to track total consumption, but also to do leak detection. And that's a really important factor for the builders because if you bought a new home from us today and you moved into your house and let's say in a week or so you had a problem and you found a leak somewhere in the house, that's not Curtis's problem. That's the builder's problem, right? You call the builder and say, I bought a brand new home from you and I it's under warranty, so come out and fix the leak. And uh, for builders, leaks, I would say the big leak is really very rare. New construction is still very good today. I mean, I'd say it's one in, hundreds or thousands of homes that experience a big leak. But in a big leak situation, we could shut off the water immediately and turn off the water to where we're not damaging the flooring, the cabinets, the carpet, right? And we could take what would have been a $50,000 problem and turn it into a $1,500 problem, right? In
Yeah.
terms of getting it addressed. So we're really trying to mitigate some of the risk for the builders in terms of some of those big leaks. But really, what I would say is that the small leaks they're more common and they're way harder to discover. And on the small leaks, what's way more likely to occur during a normal course of a build is that a lath nail from the outside pierces a water line. And if that line really immediately, it's kind of sealed, right? It kind of self-seals when it pokes into
Hmm.
that line. But over time, the metal can galvanize or corrode or oxidize, or or you have heat and thaw cycles to where this thing starts to expand, and that starts leaking inside of a wall cavity, and or it can be leaking below a slab or something in some place that's not otherwise detectable. Those leaks can go on for months and months before they're detected.
Cause a lot of damage.
Cause a lot of damage, correct? And it really creates conditions that are ripe for mold growth in that situation, right? Like mold doesn't typically happen if something blows out and leaks really hard for an hour and then gets put back together. It's typically when it's being fed this constant water source for
Yeah.
longer durations of time.
Yeah, and that can lead to structural damage to rotten framing members, and yeah, it's kind of the snowball effect that can really drive up costs for builders for repairs.
Exactly.
If it's a warranty issue, and then if it's out of warranty, that's a really costly repair for the homeowner too.
Exactly, correct. And that is the point that we want this to create some benefit for the builders so that they have, some immediate benefit to adopting it. But it is, to your point, creating long-term value for the homeowner, right? And it's the same as your the onboard diagnostic reference in a car, right? I mean, that's if the check engine light comes on in the car, it alerts the driver that there's an issue that needs to be addressed, and that they bring it into the dealership, and the onboard diagnostic port that they hook into makes it easier for the dealer or the service technician to figure out what it is that needs to be repaired and help them drill down on exactly what's happening. So,
Yeah,
um,
before total engine failure and before it gets really
exactly
expensive. Yeah.
correct. And
So
in
what
in
other?
it,
Go ahead.
yeah, correct. So in addition to that, we also have let's see, temperature sensors, occupancy sensors. We do have an indoor air quality sensor as well. And we're tracking 9 different metrics off of that indoor air quality sensor. And I do believe that as we kind of march forward into the future, indoor air quality is going to be a massive topic of discussion. It's going to become more and more important. And we really just said we got to start by monitoring it. It might not always produce the happiest values that we want to see, but you can't manage what you can't measure. So
Hmm.
on that indoor air quality sensor, we are tracking temperature, humidity levels in the house, occupancy, light levels, which is another interesting topic.
Hmm.
But beyond that, we're looking at PM 2.5,
Hmm.
particulate matter 2.5 microns or smaller, PM 10, VOCs, and carbon dioxide levels in the house as well. And um, it's really the air quality discussion will continue to gain importance because as we go forward as an industry, we're really marching towards these net zero homes,
Yep.
and which I'm all for. I mean, this is great in terms of trying to be more energy efficient. And but when we create this net zero home, you have to build almost a completely airtight building envelope. And when you do, you build this tight building envelope and then you put people in it who live in the home, they're producing carbon dioxide and humidity and all these other pieces. And if that envelope is too tight, we have to introduce outside air using fresh air exchange. We can use an ERV or a fresh air fan or something to mix the air and cycle the CO2 out and the humidity out and control those levels. But right now, builders are a little bit apprehensive to build these airtight homes because we are relying on this $1,000 fan that we put in the attic to serve as this life support system for the occupants, right?
Yep.
And and those fans, I will say, are very reliable, which is great. But at the same time, we have no mechanism to monitor or to alarm these systems, right? If something
Yeah.
is going on. And if an ERV gets shut off or disconnected or something happens, that can go from being a very, very healthy home, a very high performance home, to being a very unhealthy home that is
Right.
a magnet for mold and a lot of health concerns in a matter of days or weeks.
Yeah, because we're relying on, once we hand it off, we're relying on the homeowner to actually use things the way they were intended to be used. And if they're not using them, if they hit that power switch or flip that breaker or whatever, now that system is turned off. We have no control over that, and until now, we have no awareness that that's even going on, right? Um, so yeah, we're unfortunately like our reputation and our liability on some level is tied in with the homeowner following the procedure.
That's exactly right. And these mechanical solutions that are being, designed and engineered and put into the built world, they're really genius. There's some brilliant solutions out there, and there's some incredible technology, but they're all in many regards, very, very new and very novel. And if you bought a brand new home, but then called, uh, whatever Acme HVAC, to come over and look at your house, a lot of times the service technicians or some of the people who are in the third party world really don't know what they're looking at when they're looking at some of these high tech kind of advanced solutions. And it's really incumbent upon, the builders and the installers to be able to, kind of continue to monitor some of these devices because it really requires a more advanced technician and some more advanced diagnostics to make sure that they're properly functioning.
Absolutely. I mean, I've I've had new homes that we built for people that are very advanced, and they call a service company, and the crusty old service guy comes out who's been doing this for 40 years. He's like, "Oh, you don't need that. Just turn it off,"
Right.
or why they install this. And,
Exactly.
and the homeowner calls me. They're like, "Why'd you sell me this?" My old Joe here says we don't need it. I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
old Joe is not up on modern building technology."
That's correct. That's exactly right. And there are so many different systems like that, and more are coming. And as the energy code continues to push higher, there's only going to be more high tech and kind of automated solutions to address, efficiency and comfort and air quality and all these different things that the homeowners really should be. I mean, these are systems that should last almost the life of the home, right? I mean, these are things
Yeah.
that are designed to last 30, 40, 50 years, but we want to talk to them. We want the data coming off of that device to know that it's properly functioning. So
This really plays in really well with an episode that we did 2 episodes ago, which I'm sure you watched. So we just built a concept home for Panasonic with some new IAQ and HVAC stuff, and they've got, as part of the system, sensors everywhere all over the house, and
right,
it's really been interesting and eye opening to see their dashboard that has all these readings for how the system's performing and what the IEQ is around the house. Actually, I need to connect you with Panasonic to put y'all's
sure.
heads together because I think there's some great overlap there in y'all's systems. Um, but yeah, it's really eye opening to see uh, how the CO2, the PM 2.5s, all this stuff changes from room to room as doors and windows are opened, and it's it's really cool to see that real time data on how the house is performing and dealing with that stuff, and how the HVAC systems are moving these things in and out of the home. So definitely need to get you guys connected to talk about that some more.
Yeah, I would love to talk to them. And I will give you a little self-deprecating story, but we just installed a system for a builder in Wisconsin who's a fantastic builder, building high performance homes up there and doing a great job. Well, I logged into the system a couple days ago and I pulled up their metrics and was comparing them to our own. And their CO2 levels were consistently staying below 500 parts per million in terms of CO2. And our homes, the homes that I build, right, were ranging between 500 and 600. And there could be other factors. Maybe there's more people or pets, or there could be
Yeah.
some other things there. But I was looking at it and was like, man, our homes are not performing as well as, the other builders. But that's still important to know, right? This is like watching post-game film of your sports game and, being able to see, what did I do well, what's not going well. And as you probably know, I mean, the entire world of energy efficiency right now is really driven by prescriptive methods, right? Where
Hmm.
you draw your floor plan and you calculate your glazing area and your R values and your all your factors, and they give you the res check says, well, you should perform at this level in terms of energy efficiency, but we don't really have the back test in place to go back and confirm, the prescriptive measures.
Absolutely. And also being able to make sure that your homeowners are doing the things they should be doing too, right? So things like changing air filters. Is that something that you guys can monitor as well? Making sure those filter changes happen.
It is, yep. And there's a couple different ways. Some we're still tweaking a little bit, but yes, we in our first iteration, and the way that we did this, we actually ran pressure tubes above and below the air filter with a pressure differential switch.
Hmm.
So it measures the pressure differential above and below the air filter. And what happens is that as the filter gets dirty, we can see pressure drop occurring over the filter. And when the pressure drop hit a certain threshold, it would flip the switch and send a notification to say it's dirty. It's
Hmm.
time to change your air filter. So, and then beyond that, we also have a magnet, basically a security magnet, a sensor on the furnace door itself. So we can see when the furnace door was opened and closed to, indicate a filter change. And the filter change is, as you know, one of the most important maintenance items in the entire house, and especially for the HVAC system. But yeah, we can actually see when those are happening, or more importantly, give you a notification in advance to say, hey, Curtis, just want to let you know, it looks like you only have 25% filter life remaining. You might want to order that now, right? And get out in front of these maintenance issues before they become something larger.
Yeah. So, is this so for builders? Is this a package of sensors that you are selling to the builder for them to install, or are you guys also providing some kind of guidance, installation, training, or how does that work?
Correct. Yeah, great question. It's a package or a kit of devices. So it comes with a controller, which is your kiosk on the wall, and that's going to give you your home health check data and a lot of your metrics that you can kind of quickly access through a wall kiosk. And then it is, yes, the water shutoff valves, the smart water meter, the CT sensor, and then of course we do have we do these Swidget devices, which are great that you can replace a traditional outlet with a smart outlet or switch that
Yep.
has modular sensors that we can install there, plus yeah, 9-in-1 air quality sensor. We package this whole thing up, and all those devices are pre-paired and pre-configured. So literally, they ship out to a builder, and the builder just mounts them and installs them basically where they need to go,
Hmm.
and signs into the internet, and the whole system is on and ready to go.
Cool. Yeah, we did a whole show on Swidget a few months ago. In fact, our Panasonic house is loaded with us with the Swidget devices, and I have some of those in my house. I'm a big fan of those too. So
Yep, they're great.
glad to hear that you guys are working with them as well. Um, so the builder does the installation. Who handles kind of the setup and programming? How do you know that it's being done right, and who handles putting it into action?
Right. So there's we do send out basically what I'll call well, let me go back to the beginning. We start with a whole list of questions first, right? If you
Mm.
were to say, Brian, we're building a house in Houston and we want to put the system in, we have to know some of the kind of underlying mechanics of the home, right? Like, are you using a ducted system, ductless system? Are you using what's the diameter of your water line to make sure we ship out the right pieces? So there's a whole
Right.
questionnaire that we have to go through first and answer some questions about what are the specs of the home, so to speak, and how do we select the right devices for that home. And then we do, yes, all the pairing and configuration based on that, based on, the room count, the device count, et cetera, of how many metrics you want to capture. We pair it and ship it out with the installation instructions. So, and what we're doing right now, and we're installing this in all of our Abrazo homes today, by the way. So we have, I don't know, 55 or so systems installed and online, which is great. So we're learning as we go, and
Mm-hmm.
we're shipping other builders. But yes, we had to. It was a little bit of a learning curve when we told the plumber the first time. We're like, hey, we want to install a T and separate out the exterior from the interior and do some of these pieces. And if they, in their mind, if we just say, just imagine this is a manual gate valve, they're like, oh yeah, like it's nothing that we're nothing that we're talking about is rocket science to any of the vendors who do this work every day. They're
Mm-hmm.
all familiar with how to zone HVAC systems or how to install T's, etc. But yeah, we send out some installation instructions and talk about what needs to be done. And then when the system comes on, we're doing what I'll call a post-commissioning audit, right? So just as an example, I don't know if you've used these CT sensors, you probably have, but
Mm-hmm.
they're directional, right? So the direction of the clamp matters in terms of measuring the flow of the current. And we pulled up a house the other day that showed negative energy consumption in a home that did not have solar or any anything on there. And we know at this point, like, that clamp for the CT sensors is installed backwards. It just needs to
Yeah.
be flipped around, right? So we do a little audit, and that's a really simple repair field. But yeah, so we do this kind of audit post commissioning to make sure that the devices are reading within kind of the expected ranges of results, so we can use that data to then create analytics and triggers and notifications to better protect both the builder and the homeowner.
Yeah. So is there obviously doing this at scale would be a big benefit. Like, so production home builders implementing this would be huge, right? As a custom builder, like I would definitely see my clients being interested in implementing something like this. I think on a $2 million house, it's an easy sell to say, hey, would you like this feature set, right?
Correct.
Um, but I think that of course, production builders are very, very dollar conscious. Um, and talking them into implementing something that costs, one, two, three, four, $5,000, whatever it is, that's a big line item for a production builder to add to their budgets. But at the same time, I can see from an outsider perspective, not being a production builder, I could see a huge benefit to those kind of companies having something like this. From the warranty side of things and the kind of the liability side, but also just the data that you can get, like just having all this data on how your homes are performing, how different products that you're installing are behaving once they're in use. To me, that seems like a no brainer. But again, I know it's a tough sell when you ask somebody who's building thousands of homes to add a $3,000 or whatever it is line item to their budget.
Well, and I agree 100% with your assessment, meaning on a custom home, it should make sense because it's almost a rounding error. I mean, our kind of basic system is about $3,500.
Mm-hmm.
And to install a, $3,500 system to create some level of asset protection around a $2 million home is, almost it's a no-brainer. Like you said,
Yeah.
and can prevent a lot of damage and loss. And also for the production builders, you're exactly right. I mean, the more homes you build, the more likely you are to experience that 1 in 1,000 event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is part of it. But and you're also right that the data that comes off of the system, it all goes into the cloud. The builder has a portal, right? And they can go back in and pull all the data off of all these houses and aggregate it and benchmark it and compare it and look at all these things. And we're really close on getting some of our first reports available to where if you have enough data, you can say, well, Well, Curtis, thanks for coming in and looking at our 2,000 square foot floor plan. The price is X. We think the principal and interest is going to be, this amount per month. We can also project that, based on the last 50 times we've built this house, your water bill will be around this, your power bill will be around that, your air
Mm,
quality will be around these, and these are the metrics that we're hitting consistently as a builder, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And
This isn't just speculative, calculations that are done. This is like actual data on the last 50 people who have built this floor plan.
Correct. And the way that we buy homes today is almost without this MPG sticker on the window, right? Like,
Hmm.
you know, uh, pardon me that I borrow so many analogies from the auto industry, but
That
people
works.
go and they look at, okay, there's a Prius versus a Camry. Like, why would I buy one versus the other? And says, well, this one gets 54 miles per gallon and this one gets 32. People start to do the value calculation in their own mind about like, gosh, wow, that could really save me some money, to that point. But that's all based on, a lot of testing and data and research that they've done to provide you with that information. And we don't provide any guidance to homeowners before they, dive into this home. I should say, any performance-based data. We have the prescriptive data, but we don't have the
Right.
performance-based data. So once you start to the home production builders could really fill up this data lake a lot faster than the custom builders could and really gain some tremendous and powerful insights off of all that intelligence.
Well, yeah, I mean, the custom builders like me we're building that floor plan one time, right?
Right.
So for me, it's really like monitoring, um, like like problems, right? Like
Right.
frozen pipes, leaks, whatever. That's more what I'm concerned about for my warranty and for my customers' well being. Whereas the production builder is probably looking more at it more from a data perspective. Well, I mean, they definitely get the warranty kind of protection benefit too, but to me, the real value for them is the data. I mean, everything's about
Right.
data these days. Um,
And just as
and
an example, I mean, we're a relatively small production builder in the grand scheme of things, but there are several floor plans we've built them 100 times, right? And if we were able to say, I mean, we have customers who come into a design center after they've had their initial purchase, and one of the components we go over in our design center offerings is, would you like to buy upgraded insulation, right? The the house comes with an R49 in the attic, and we have an option for R60 in the attic, and it costs, $1,400 or whatever the number might be. And customers all the time, they look at us with this kind of blank stare of like,
why?
I don't know, like you tell me, should I buy this or not, right? It's this idea of, and right now that has been, we try to talk about the theory around it, but if we said, well, we've built this house 100 times and 50 with R49 performed at this level and 50 with R60 performed at this level. So based on all the data we have, we think the break even point for this upgrade is 27 and a half months. Then it becomes such a clear and objective decision for the homeowner to decide
Absolutely.
whether or not they want to invest in this. And so the production builders, if they have large volumes of homes and all the data, they can be able to sort out and really quantify some of these energy efficiency upgrades, the importance of an ERV or, some of these other items as well in terms of really helping to sell, you know, energy efficiency and some of these components and systems.
And maybe just a internal purchasing decision component too, right? Like we see that this product is not performing well. We should look at some alternatives for a replacement product, or um, yeah, like the homeowners aren't using this. Why are we doing this? I mean, there's some different purchasing decisions that can be made using good data as well, which could save them money long term,
Absolutely. Yeah,
or
we could
or,
we
or
could
increase
quantify.
customer satisfaction.
That's right. Yeah. And we could say plumber A had 2 leaks and plumber B had 40 leaks on the same number of houses, right? Like you can gain a lot of different insights,
Right,
but you have to have the data first.
right. So big picture benefits for homeowners. health and wellness. I think just kind of an awareness of things like air quality, um, and then situational awareness. So kind of the check engine light thing. What other benefits can you think of for homeowners?
Correct. Yeah. And I'll start with health. I really do believe that's one of the most important drivers, right? But if you think about how much water we drink on any given day, I think it's, I don't know, 3 liters or 4 liters. And if you think about the volume of air that you breathe in and out every day, I mean, it's 1,000 times greater, right? And there's a lot of science and evidence that's coming out right now about how much exposure we spend in these indoor air environments and really how that can change health outcomes. And I won't profess to be a doctor, but I will say that it's really, if you take the deep dive and start looking into CO2 levels and PM levels and all these other things and how they can change health outcomes, it's pretty dramatic. And I will say we do this. I mean, I have an air quality monitor sitting in our office here. This is an older building that we have not, we don't have the fresh air circulation, and we see our carbon dioxide levels go north of 1,100 or 1,200, and you see people they start yawning, they get tired,
Mm-hmm.
it literally changes people's physical, performance like quickly. I mean, in a matter of minutes. It's not a question of like 6 months or years down the road. It happens fast. So yeah, health is certainly one of the biggest ones. And then this alert system that we had we do track VOCs. So for mold, we can't detect mold as as a substance, but we have kind of a mold alarm, if you will. We can see an increased level in VOCs. We can see increased levels of humidity. We can track what's going on in terms of mold, and hopefully something is going on in the house to manage airflow and growth. But yeah, we can detect those things now and give you a notification to say we think something's out of whack here, and we should look into this.
Yeah.
Uh, we had I'll tell you another funny story, but we put this in a demo home, and we had the condensate drain uh, the P trap dried out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because no one was living in this house. It wasn't getting enough air, and the condensate drain dried out. So the sewer gases started coming back up into the house.
Mm.
And when you walk into a house, you can smell that, right? It's a very pronounced smell.
Oh yeah.
And we were, oh man, it stinks and etc. But we just so happens had VOC sensors in our Swidget device. We could actually see the increase in VOC levels in the house. And um, the solution for that is really simple. All you have to do is pour some water down that drain, and it's fine. A cup of water, and you're healed or cured. But right now, a lot of homeowners don't know A, what would be causing this. B, how is it affecting my indoor air quality? Or C, what is the remedy to get it fixed, right? And they might be calling a plumber or an HVAC company or somebody to roll a truck out, 10, 15, 20 miles to go look at it. And they say, oh, this is just pour a cup of water. So
Yeah.
to the idea that if we can detect these things and start to quantify what does that curve look like, what does the data look like, and say this is a list of what this could be, and these are some of the things that you can try to self-service your own home. I think homeowners are going to love that, right? In the sense that it's like, oh, just let me click on this video. It says pour a cup of water down this drain, and you're great. So
Absolutely. And so I'm not sure if this is good advice or not, but I heard it on the internet or something, so I'm sure it's true, right? But I saw a trick for a drain in a laundry room, like a floor drain in a laundry room, that dries out all the time because it never
yeah,
gets water down it, right?
right.
Uh, they said to pour some ultra pure olive oil in the trap because the olive oil won't dry out.
Oh yeah.
And
And
if
then
it's
it
like if it's really pure, it's
eats
not going
away,
to
right?
attract all the bugs and stuff too. So I don't know if it's true or not. Like I said, I heard it on the internet, so I'm sure it is.
Interesting thesis. I like it. Yeah, and long term for homeowners, obviously the peace of mind around leak detection, frozen pipe prevention, preventative maintenance, getting out in front of filter changes, getting out in front of air quality metrics, making sure that there's tracking for, mold and air quality and health. I mean, we think that these are all things that are really going to be more and more important as we go into the future. So,
so talk about kind of to summarize the builder benefits. Again, we just spent a lot of time talking about kind of awareness and warranty, but how can this help us to deliver real value and kind of an elevated customer experience for our clients?
right. Yeah, absolutely. So, and we've talked about this, but a little bit, and just to reiterate, yes, we think there's tremendous amount of value in the data, in terms of, how can that help us to make sure that we're building our next house even better, right? When we start to compare the data sets again and again, we need this feedback loop in to be able to measure the post-closing performance of our homes, to know what worked versus what didn't, right? And how do we get better as builders? So if you don't have that feedback loop, you can never improve, right? You assume that as soon as you handed off the keys to the customer, that everything was just perfect and great, and you repeat exactly what you did before. And so the feedback loop is critically important in the data. In terms of the risk mitigation for warranty and expense, we believe is huge. And really, what I'll say is our goal when we did this is, I was looking at some of what are our most common warranty issues and what are our most costly warranty issues, right? How do we drill down on those two things? In our experience, we typically get the benefit of the doubt from the builder if from the customer, sorry, if we have to go back in and do some, drywall touch up, some trim touch up, or an outlet wasn't done correctly, we always get the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Sure.
It's, the leaks are the ones that people have a hard time, uh reconciling, right?
Yeah.
And those are the biggest and the most costly. And our most common one, and I'm sure it's your case in Houston as well, but every time in New Mexico when the temperature hits 100 degrees, we built 200 houses last year, so I get 6 or 7 phone calls where someone calls in on a hot day and they say, my air conditioning is not working and you built me a terrible house. And we didn't really, but they haven't changed out their air filter 9 times out of 10. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, that's a simple solution. Like if we had this monitored, we can just notify before before the warranty becomes a problem, right? We can catch it before it's an issue and say, hey, Curtis, we think it's time for you to change your air filter. By the way, your house takes a 16 by 25 by 1, right? And you can spec it, and here's a link to the product, and here's a YouTube video as to how to change it. And Amazon can have it on your door in 24 hours. And but yeah, we can get ahead of some of those issues. In our experience, there's I'm a Gen X. I'm a solid Gen X, right in the middle, 46 years old, and
Yeah, me too.
I feel like all the generation above us and older than us knows how to work on all these things, and they know what to do, but a lot of people don't want to do it anymore, right? My dad doesn't want to go up on his roof, and he doesn't want to get up on a ladder and do some of these things. So to the degree that we can make his life easier, that's a lot more valuable because he already knows what to do. He just if there was a reminder and a tracker system, he would love it. A lot of the generation below us has never had to deal with this before, and they don't know what to do. And but they're willing, right? They're smart and they're willing and able. But if you said, here's a sensor that's giving us a notification, and here's what you need to do, they're like, great, cool, that's awesome. Like, but yeah, we're also trying to close that knowledge gap of owning and operating a home, right? And
Yep.
how do we take some of the uncertainty and the fear and the risk of maintenance away from that younger generation? I think if you ask our parents, they're like, oh yeah, you have to maintain this stuff. You have to work on it. It's just like it's
Yeah, they just know it.
no, right. And a lot of people younger than us are saying, I don't know how to maintain this stuff. I don't know what to do. And we just want to make it easier and simpler to address, all generations, right? In terms of how can we make home ownership easier?
Yeah. And again, the homes are getting more and more complex. The systems are more complex. Again, to go back to using the car analogy, back in the 1950s, grandpa, or back then wasn't grandpa, but back then dad could work on his car in the front yard. It was a simple engine.
Right.
No computers, probably no air conditioning, right? But
Right.
now the cars are complex. I'm not going to work on my car anymore. Uh, Probably most people are not. Same thing with the home. Like, these are not simple systems that everyone can just pop the hood and fix it on their own. So having that check engine light, having that situational awareness, just makes it easier for everyone to stay on top of these things. So, to kind of wrap it up, I saw a quote on your website, and I'd heard this one before, but it's a great reminder. It's a Bill Gates quote, and I'll just read it. I got it here. It says, "The advance of technology is based on making it fit in, so that you don't even really have to notice it. It's just a part of everyday life." And I think that's great because, like, these things are there in the background, and they're benefiting us. We're not aware of their presence every day, but when we need it, it's letting us know what's going on, right?
That's right. And yeah, to be perfectly transparent and also respectful for all the solutions in the smart home world, we are not all things to all people. There are a lot of other great smart home solutions that are going to be better at, changing the color of your lighting or blinds or music or some of those comfort and convenience, some of those really cool things in terms of, there's a lot of fun and creative stuff in the smart home space, and we applaud it, we acknowledge it. My area of focus is I want to talk to the house. I want to talk to the physical layer of the house to know how is the home performing and is it working the way that we expect it to work. And that's less glamorous, right? There's less glitter on it. And it really should, exactly to your point, it should blend into the house. You shouldn't see it, and it should be working quietly in the background, just monitoring your home health and performance. And we don't have any proprietary wires, any crazy switches, any crazy stuff. We want the home to physically interact with the homeowner the exact same way that it would, so that nobody has to relearn how to live in a smart home, right?
Yep.
It should be working transparently in the background and giving us some intelligence and some insights as to how we can make the home perform better for its occupants.
Great. Well, Brian, I really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much for telling us more about RIoT. I know it's something that I'm excited. I mean, I could probably go out and sell two of these to my next two custom home clients that I'm meeting with this week. I mean, it's really an exciting feature technology option for homeowners, and I wish you luck in getting some major production builders to adopt this too. Because again, I think that's really where it's really needed. There's a big benefit there, so I hope that you're able to get them on board with it as well.
Well, thank you for your kind words, and we'd love to talk to your next two customers. And thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your audience.
Thank you, and hopefully I'll see you at EEBA this fall in Minneapolis.
I'll see you there. I'll be there.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching or listening to the Your Project Shepherd podcast. I will see you next time. Bye bye.